like I cannot be stopped, nigga, but no, I'm not giving it up, I'm ripping it up.
To be fair, the man is an ass, but he's not a dumbass. He had to know that this was going to
Shit hit ignite, I light up the club with one stanza. Niggas getting their hands up, chicks come out their pants. What? It's been a minute since I first put it down. Bought you the 2 drunk hits from under.
To be honest, I'm a dude. I can get down with the skank factor a little bit.
Down, that's my nigga. We still the same, cause Vik without the 2 drunk click, that's not a game. Look, we on a different page, but it's the same book. It's still in with Vik.
Grey Goose was flowing nonstop. It was like it was on tap. The music was tight, and it was a good time.
Aimless, they can't recognize this game. Niggas is gameless. I'm dynamite. When I rock the mic, it's like I cannot be stopped. Oh, the flow so high.
What's up, y'all? Once again, it's Vik coming at you with the events of the week. Get at me as always at Vik at BigVikPresents.com. That's Vik with a K. And let me just jump right into the headlines this week. You got the terrorists responsible for 9/11 allegedly coming to stand trial in New York on U.S. soil. And this is a hot topic, a lot of controversy surrounding it. So, we'll just jump right into it. Let me know where you come out on this, all right? Look, let me start with the decision made by the Attorney General, Eric Holder. This is one of Obama's guys, okay? And he says this decision is solely his, that there was no consultation needed with Obama. I highly doubt that, and I think this is a real political move. I think, you got to look at this from a standpoint of the U.S. is trying to reestablish an image that was severely damaged, reputation badly damaged over the last several years. I think the image of the United States and the American people needs some serious damage control. And here you have an opportunity to put these guys up on charges of war crimes in a military court, but we're opting to bring them here to U.S. soil, put them on trial as civilians, and there's a couple of ways you can look at that. You can say, hey, you don't want to make this look like a bigger thing than what it is. When you start talking about war crimes, you have to identify who you're at war with. And you got to be real careful with this, because we don't want to put ourselves in a position to say that we're at war with the Nation of Islam. Okay, and I think that's kind of where George Bush, whether you inadvertently, whether you intended to or not, I think that's the position that he kind of gave the world the perception of. That's the position that we're taking, and that's at least the way I think a lot of folks saw it around the globe. Now, obviously, one of the major things that Obama wanted to bring to his administration is the ability to change that perception globally of the United States. And one way of doing that is by saying, hey, look, we're not at war with the Nation of Islam. We're at war with a handful of extremists. And when you really break this down, I mean, the folks who are doing this jihad, their numbers by comparison of the Nation of Islam and their followers are really small. So you don't want to say that we're at war with the Nation of Islam. It's these radical terrorists that we're having an issue with. And at the same time, once you look at this, you start wondering, okay, well, are they going to have a fair trial and all this? Look, there's no question that the good folks in New York can handle this. It's not an issue about whether they can deal with something like this. That's not really the point. The worst that can happen is, there's a 2-second deliberation in the song and dance or what have you, and they come back with a guilty verdict. But, best case scenario, we show the world that, hey, we put these guys up to the test, fair, just due process, and this is how it turned out. And I think that in some ways the idea is that maybe some of the damage can be repaired to the United States reputation. Now, all of that said, I'm going to take the other position on this, okay? For those of us who remember that day, the weeks that followed, I mean, this was a huge tragedy, and I think that as people try to move on with their lives and heal, and not put it behind us from the standpoint that we forget about it, because I don't think any of us will ever forget about it. But in the healing process, now we're in a position where all this is being thrown back in our faces, and you know, I say our because this is the United States of America that suffered this, but obviously, specifically speaking to the New Yorkers, you know, this is a tough time, and have this thrown back in their face. I also think that there's a potential for putting whoever's identified as the judge and the jurors. You know, there's a potential for them to be in danger. You know, this is going to be a media circus, so any terrorist or any radical with a view might try to seize this opportunity to get their platform and, you know, make a statement. Who knows what? Maybe even somebody trying to commit some vigilante acts of violence against these guys if they get an opportunity to. You know, security's going to be tight, but you know, there's always those folks who are going to try something like that. I just think that at the end of the day, you might be creating a situation that's more hazardous to the American people by doing this. And you know, yes, you could say, hey, what better way to get justice for the people of New York than to just bring these guys, hand deliver them to you, wrapped in a package. You know, I mean, you can't do any better than that unless you just drop them in the middle of Times Square and let the people have at them. But still, at the end of the day, I think the cons outweigh the pros on this one. I do think this is a bad move. You know, these guys, whether we want to acknowledge or not, we're not at war with the Nation of Islam, but this particular group of radicals has declared war on us. So yeah, they should be brought up on war crimes. I don't think they should be here on U.S. soil. I think it's a mistake, but obviously folks who have a lot more power than me are making these decisions and pulling the trigger, so we'll have to just kind of wait and see how this unfolds, and hopefully, you know, the right thing happens in terms of a verdict, and you know, no one who doesn't deserve to be harmed comes to any harm, hopefully. So that's where I come out on that. Let me know what you think. Again, it's Vik at BigVikPresents.com. It's Vik with a K. Speaking of bad moves, I'm going to get right into this on a more local level. Shooting last night, San Francisco at Regency Ballroom. This is a KMEL House of Soul event, concert, R&B concert. Okay, you know, now, look, I have strong feelings on this. Obviously, I'm a producer. You know, R&B music and rap music is kind of my bread and butter. You know, and I've watched this unfold over quite a bit of time. How violence gets linked to music, and you know, a while ago it was rap. You know, and you know, whether you subscribe to this belief or not, my feeling has always been that if you spend about 2 or 3 hours somewhere, you know, listening to the beats banging your head and listening to some cat tell you about how he doesn't give a funk, and you know, and I'm gonna cap this cat and I'm gonna pull out my strap and pop, you know, then you know, I'm gonna fuck this person up, I'm gonna fuck you up, and I'm gonna whatever. Then yeah, probably by the end of all of that, there's a good chance that something out in the parking lot, you know, somebody's gonna get fucked up, you know. But this was an R&B concert. Tell me what listening to Trey Songz and LaToya Luckett does to amp you up, where you got to go to the trunk. And look, you know, the event, to be clear, the event went off without a hitch, no problem at the actual show. But as is the norm, in the parking lot after the show is where the hijinks begin. And once again, you got a group of people proving or showing that we have gotten to the point that we cannot resolve conflicts, we cannot resolve our arguments or disputes without going to the barrel of a gun.